Okay, self-bill e-invoice. So under normal condition, right, the sales or transaction is done, right? E-invoice will be issued by supplier, and the buyer will also keep a copy as a proof of expenses. Now, however, there are some circumstances that supplier don't issue the e-invoice. Why? Because the supplier in this case is something to do with payment to agents by foreign suppliers, profit distribution, e-commerce, gaming winners. This kind of situation would not. Let's give an example. Also interest payment as well, right? Okay, example is that Ahmad, a full-time employee. Now, what basically this is not needed. So he sell gaming console to IT computer center Berhad. Okay, now Ahmad is not an individual who is not conducting a business. So in this case, right, because he's selling to IT computers in Berhad, but Ahmad has done an e-invoice system, right? So however, IT computer does buy things from the Ahmad, but Ahmad cannot issue. So cannot issue. But Elshin say that in case Ahmad cannot issue e-invoice, you still want to buy, then what happens is that you issue a self-bill e-invoice for the purchase of this gaming console. And that's one good example of when you use self-bill invoice. Now the other case is like Susan, a teacher, right? He entered a vacant land, right? And so she received income from renting a vacant land to XYZ. So this is the tenant and this is Susan, right? So now Susan is not providing any maintenance, right? So Susan as a teacher also not doing business. So same thing as YZ need to issue a self-bill e-invoice for this case, right, to LHM. Okay. Another example is Farhan, right, an employee of Benagan Nusa Kase. So again, right, is that he purchased cupcakes with Macet Rosa, and then just as someone to buy a garage, right? So, and then, well, so much as you provide them a handwritten receipt, right? So, in this case, right, Perniagaan Nusa Kase is not required and not allowed to issue self-bill invoice for the said expenses. Okay, so you don't need to sell that here because you can see this is acceptable, right? And upon full information, budget is not required to issue, right? Why? Because that if it's below right, it's like 150,000, right? So it's not needed to implement e-invoice unless it changes again, right? So, well, in that case, then you don't need to issue self-bill. This is a small minor thing, right? So let's look at here. Best Mesra. So this company ran an office space but owned by Kama, Cheng, and Sunita. Okay, so yeah, just owned by these three people. So we have Kama, and we have Cheng, and we also have Sunita. Okay, so now there is a discussion, right? So all three, right, did not do any services or no do any business. So Best Mesra, what should Best Mesra do? Okay, what should Best Mesra do? Okay, Best Mesra, right, will need to issue self-bill according to the proportion, right? So as you can see that let's say this 25%, this 35%, so their profit, right, is share amount like this. Okay, let's see here. So 25% share, 35% share, and then we have 30% share, right? So let's say just a sample like this. So I have to issue 3 self-bill to each of them, right, on this agreed proportion. So that's the case. And then on mortgage loan, this is another example, right? Also Bank Prima, so subjected to a fixed annual. Abu will make installment payment to Bank Prima on a monthly basis. So interest and pay and principal. It will that Abu is an individual making interest payment. So bank is going to issue invoice to Adi. Yep. To the Bank Prima Zito. Okay. So that is the case. Okay. Not my deal, right? So let's see here. C. Sanjay Bhatt, right, has obtained a 10,000 loan for business expansion, right? So from Benny, right, it's from his holding company. So Benny charged an interest to C, right? So in this case, C is required to assume the role of, right? C is going to assume the role of supplier and issue a self-bill e-invoice for the interest paid to Benny. Although Benny, because it's kind of like inter-company, right? So even in this case, right, you need to issue a self-bill e-invoice, yeah? So the finance team need to, or the accounting, right, need to aware of this, right? So this is for account team, right? Take note. Account and finance team need to take note on this issue, right? So and then yeah, so this is more in details. Okay, you can see that here payments, when the payments to agents, right, the supplier is the agent and the buyer is the taxpayer who makes transaction pay to this here. Okay, and same goes to here. So there are many other things mentioned. Oh, maybe I'll talk about e-commerce, right? E-commerce, right? E-commerce intermediate payer is the buyer. Yeah, the transaction is buyer. We'll talk about e-commerce in the later on. Okay, and so like payout here case, right? Then it will be a buyer as a buyer. So this is buyer and this is supplier. Okay, so let's right here. This is buyer. This is the buyer. Okay, not bad, huh? Let's see here. Let's see here. This is a buyer. Okay, so no need to go and flip to the other side, right? And this is a seller. Okay. Oh, supplier. Okay. Supplier. Okay, so the driver, the Grab drivers, right? The food panda, right? So they are the supplier. These are the buyers. So the buyers is going to issue that, right? So same goes to all betting. Okay, the total will be the buyer, supplier will be the recipients, right? That kind of things, right? So you want to deal with that e-commerce. Yeah, this is here, right? Cool. Okay, there we have. Okay, in this event, right? So the supplier provide the team, right? For a team, the buyer should input this here into the detailed self-bill e-invoice. So what is need to insert into the self-bill? So supply team, supply this here. So example would be like this gaming, right? Gaming. So the supplier is the one who received the 1 million price, right? So yeah, got to enter that the suppliers with the name, right? And then so goes to here option 2 for Malaysian deal where the interest are only provide. So buyer to buy into here. Okay, good. So then there are other things as well here. Okay, let's go to the transaction which involve payment whether in monetary form or otherwise to agents which involve payment. The use of agent are commonly used. An agent will earn commission, so they earn commission. Okay, so let's see here. So pay commission paid to the agents, dealers and distributor. Okay, and oh, first of all, there's a sales done, right? The agent done the services to the purchaser, and then now the company has to pay the agent a fee, right? So in our situation as well, right? If we also get agent, right? As a creative wise, we also get agent to help us sell our course, right? If you know somebody interested to buy services with us, from us, right? So you help us, we'll pay you a commission, right? So of course, the deal has to be done first, then commission will be there. Okay, so now in this case, when a purchaser acquired goods or services from a seller to an agent, right? Seller is required to issue an e-invoice. Okay, the seller e-invoice to the purchaser to record that. So the seller is the one, right? So not the agent. So okay, the seller is a supplier, it's a company, not the agent. Okay, that is the case. So if the purchase does not require an e-invoice to be issued, so seller issue a normal receipt to the purchaser. Seller is required to issue a consolidated e-invoice agreeing all the issue proof of income within 7 calendar days after the month end. Okay, so same goes to here, right? So this is not needed to read. Let's go here. Issue a self-bill invoice from seller to agent. So remember just now the case that we have this issue here, right? I guess we can go into more details. Okay, so like here. Okay, so upon completing sales, concluding a sales, yes, close the deal. Yes, the agent immediately receive payment from the seller, right? So from the seller. For this purpose, the role would be supplier. For this self bill itself, right? The agent supplier is a supplier. The buyer is the seller. Assume the role of supplier to issue a self bill e-invoice for proof of expenses. Okay, because why? Yeah, you got to, the buyer is the seller. Yeah, the sellers issue self bill to who? To the agent. Okay, although the agent is not the one that really buying, it's the purchaser. Okay, as well as investing a more efficient e-invoice issuance process, as well as ease burden of individual suppliers, e-employing team, provide concession individual. First refer to this. Oh, what's the guide here? Okay, forget it. I think will be that following here. So this is it. Right? So the agent, name of the agent, the dealer, the distributor, for what businesses, and the supplier. So again, right? Well, look at the term here. Supplier team. Who is the supplier? Look at this here. What I refer to here, the supplier is the Grab driver. Suppliers is the is also the agent, right? So yeah, this is it, right? So agent, this is it, right? So let's go back to here. I guess it's over here. Okay. Okay, suppliers is the agent. So you need to provide the name of the agent, right? If it's an individual, will be the IC, right? So let's look at the other, where TIN is not needed. There are other purposes as well, right? So these are all we go into detail. Agency agents. Okay, so here's another example. Yeah, Ali booked as a sales agent for, right? So Ali is a sales agent, right? So it's not employee, right? It's an agent. So it's a price of 600,000, and then earn a 20%. So CSSP will issue a self bill e-invoice for this to Ali. So we just recognize this as a proof of earned by Ali. For Ali is the income. For CSP is the expenses, right? Because the commission is paid. So in this case, how that works like will be like this here. E-invoice, suppliers is the agent, and the buyer is the agency. Yeah, this is one great example. Okay, the last part is cross-border transaction, right? Involve a transaction between a Malaysian buyer and a foreign supplier. So a foreign supplier refers to any supplier operating outside of Malaysia, not established in Malaysia, including non-Malaysian currency. Foreign buyer refer to any, right? So foreign buyers, well, of course, those who buy from foreign, right? So foreign country. So okay, so foreign supplier. So let's say you buy a certain medical equipment, right? It is produced by Germany. So that they are produced in Germany, and then you import it. Then that is a foreign supplier. And likewise, you produce a certain car. You invented certain kind of maybe a food, right? A food, a durian, right? So and then China foreign buyer want to buy this. Yeah, that is it, right? So then you can see that there's a cross-border transaction. In this case, how do you do it? Let's take a look. Goods sold or services rendered by foreign seller to Malaysian purchaser. Now, in our earlier example, um, a foreign seller, let's say, sell medical equipment, a Germany sell things here, so he sell, so the goods is sent to Malaysian, a hospital, and then second, foreign seller also issue an invoice. Now notice this is invoice, not e-invoice, right? They use invoice. In this case, what do Malaysian purchasers do, right? And foreign would issue an invoice. The invoice would be according to the foreign seller's local. So it's not mandatory. So not mandatory to implement. The invoice is required to issue a self-bill e-invoice, right? Yes, exactly. You issue a self-bill e-invoice, that will do, right? A self-bill e-invoice to recognize that you have purchased something from the Germany medical equipment company, right? So yeah. So okay. So and then for the purpose, the role would be the supplier is the foreign seller and the buyer is the Malaysian purchaser. So assuming the role of that. Okay. So like I said in the earlier example, right, the supplier is the German medical equipment company, and the buyer is the local private hospital, right? Example. Okay, next. So issue here, the step issue a self-bill invoice, right? How do you issue a self-bill? Okay, how do you sell that here? Issuing here. How do you sell that? Well, that is the step here, step one. I just look at it, will do well. So we'll complete this here, page one here, this is not here. Okay, measures we input, then they wait. So these are the steps I just screenshot it here. Okay, and then we have importation. Okay, so this is one example, a self-bill e-invoice example, right? Where you get supply from the German's medical equipment company, right? That's one example. Next is that, yes, you sell something, right? Render to a foreign purchaser. You sell this durian to the China market, right? So yes, we sell this to China, and then we issue an invoice to the foreign, right? Yes, we issue an invoice, right? Okay. Now in this case, how do we do with the invoice, right? Let's take a look. We issue an invoice to the foreigner, and then it's required to issue an e-invoice to the. So yes, they still require Malaysian seller require e-invoice to the foreigners, right? So well, how do you deal with that? Step one, upon the Malaysian we issue, foreigners record that. For purpose of role would be suppliers Malaysian. Step two will be required to complete the required where the certain are not required due to not applicable by foreign purchasers or due to here a Malaysian seller to input. Then the Malaysian will input here. So I think there will be an example here, right? So supplier is the Malaysian. So yes, you just need to issue, you need to issue an e-invoice, right? Regards of that. Well, anyway, you will send e-invoice to LHDN to recognize that income is happen, right? Yeah. So there you are, right? So I guess that's about it, right? So there are something else Yep, if you like this video and you find that you benefit here, yes, feel free to give me some money, right? Happy Chinese New Year. And yeah, thank you. And there you go. And once again, thank you, all Malaysian, HID Corp, my team and I. We are being recognized as the top cost provider of National Tourism Weeks 2023 by HID Corp and Ministry of Sumber Malaysia, YB Steven Sim. And if you're interested to get a copy of SQL software, yeah, well, we are the authorized reseller as well, right? Wow, okay, yes. Yeah, and then in the right here, there are other questions that I received from others, right? So let's see here. We sell goods to subsidiary with goods being directed to its customer located overseas. When you hear the overseas, you refer to this video, right? We compile a shipment, deliver, and issue a debit note. When important, can we continue this by issuing a summary or e-invoice at the end, right? A summary or e-invoice. Well, if you have so many of these, right, so as well you use the software. Once you see the software, you find that it's not that hard at all, right? So it's just that a summary e-invoice, right? You have to take a look at how is this. We compile a shipment and issue a debit note along the coming. So there's a debit note, right? So debit note is an adjustment, right? So yeah, so there might be some adjustment even after you sell the goods to subsidiary. Hey, wait, sell to subsidiary, which with goods being directly delivered to its customer. So it sells to subsidiary. This is another case. They sell to subsidiary. Whereas still there's a money. Subsidiary is in overseas. Well, depends on, these are very case by case basis, right? Having said that, if you refer to just now the anything with overseas, you still issue a self bill if your direct subsidiary has no local presence in Malaysia. Use your self bill, and there's a debit note. Yeah, likewise, right? If you want to issue debit notes for that case, you issue the same. Can we continue to practice issuing a summary of this here? So this is something that is depends on your industry, because if you want to issue a consolidated, right, you really have to look at are you in that case? Okay, for medical claim, you should under company name or patient name. All right, what is self bill invoice? What invoice must be written in self information, right? So we answered that already. Self bill invoice must be in hard copy or soft copy, right? Invoice, it will be in soft copy, right? People will not go for hard copy anymore. What if a clinic issue an invoice receipt on employee's name? Can employer claim issue on employee's name? Well, you can see that earlier example, right, in my last video, right? Yes, you can, right? As long as the issue on the employee's name, it is tax deductible. It is tax deductible, right? Invoice is actually rated by Just Wonder or by AI. Okay, Just Wonder how they cope with. Okay, wow. Machine learning, right? AI, actually it's not that quite AI. It's just that they use JSON and XML, right? So it will be very fast, right? So already proven, no problem. Self-bill invoice also is required for LHDN validation. Oh yes, of course, right? Because LHDN want to know every income and every expenses that's legitimate has to be validated by LHDN. Flight ticket insured under can claim to company. Yes, can, right? So again, you can refer to my notes here on the, well, it depends on whether like there are two cases, right? It's a disbursement, like air ticket can be reimbursed to the done, right? And then yeah, we got okay. So there are many other questions, right? And thank you for all those detailed guide by LHDN and all the training I attended, and also my own. effort, and of course you who watch this. Thank you once again, and that concludes the whole 4 series of LHA e-invoice. Happy invoice in the upcoming invoice era. Right, it really saves you time in the long run.